Well, what have we here? It's an Amargasaurus, according to the paperwork I have in front of me. Another interesting factoid, its long neck meant it probably liked to feed on the taller branches of trees and such. At least that's what it says. Guess we'll find out, huh?
Okay, I'm Isaac Clement. Together, we'll create the most spectacular dinosaur park imaginable, and hopefully not die in the process. Really, I don't want to die. This is a Euoplocephalus, an herbivore and relatively harmless dinosaur, as long as you stay out of the way of the heavy club on its tail. If it swings that your way, you could be relatively finished.
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Kajal Dua. I'm something of a perfectionist, and I demand it in others. So I expect that you'll do your best. I just wanted to make that clear. Oh, and welcome. Known as the chambered lizard, the Camarasaurus impresses with both its size and its blunt snout. It prefers to live in groups, a challenge, but one I'm confident you can handle.
The Kentrosaurus is another of those spiky-backed dinosaurs, a dinosaur that relied on intimidation to keep the predators at bay, and failing that, a difficult meal to catch and chew. Think of it as a prehistoric porcupine. Okay, so this next dinosaur, the Parasaurolophus, has a flair for the dramatic, especially where its head is concerned. It has a distinctive cranial crest, which is used for added resonance in its vocalizations and to regulate its body temperature.
Some of these animals present a real test of our abilities. Take, for instance, this latest dinosaur, the Gallimimus. It's an opportunistic omnivore that does best in groups. That alone isn't the problem, but the speed. Gallimimus is incredibly fast, which presents special challenges for the ranger teams tasked with monitoring them. Another massive animal, the Diplodocus, was once considered the longest animal that ever lived. And now, thanks to our extensive research, it's back. My task is to make sure we learn everything we can about this dinosaur. Your task is making sure these magnificent creatures can survive in the modern world.
Dr. Henry Wu here, geneticist. This sauropod, the Nigersaurus, was originally discovered in fossilized form in the Republic of Niger, hence the name. Now, it lives thanks to our efforts and our science. Notice the long tail, the flat skull. However, this dinosaur is smaller than some of its cousins. Now that we have them to study, perhaps we can learn why.
I'm George Lambert, in charge of security. And I just want to remind you that the safety of our guests and our dinosaurs, well, that's job one. What can be said about the Triceratops? This is one of those dinosaurs that really defines our business. People want to see them, and we want to share them with the world. Don't let that fearsome appearance fool you. Those horns are mostly for defense and impressing other Triceratops. This animal is an herbivore. It can be a star attraction or a security nightmare if it turns those horns on our fencing.
They call this the Ankylosaurus. I call it an armored ball of walking, breathing trouble. Still, some might call it charming, amusing, delightful. Each to their own.
Before I got into the paleo-curation game, even I knew of the Stegosaurus. Those plates running along its length from head to tail make it one of the most iconic dinosaurs. Our guests are going to want to see it. So make sure you do right by this animal.
I'm Owen, a specialist in dinosaur behavior. I've formed a unique bond with the raptors. Now, don't be jealous. This animal, the Maiasaura, is known as the good mother reptile because its fossils were first discovered in a nesting colony. And really, who doesn't love a good mother?
Claire Deering. She's gone from manager to advocate. She's a survivor, a result of her interactions with the dinosaurs and her headstrong nature.
Talk about the opposite of subtle. And I don't mean Owen. No, this is the Chasmosaurus. It has dynamic coloring and these large openings, called fenestrae, in a frill that rises above its head. This is a dinosaur that says, "Look at me." So, maybe a little like Owen.
Look at an ostrich or emu, then look at this latest dinosaur, the Struthiomimus, and tell me you don't see a connection. This is one of the more bird-like dinosaurs that we've brought back from extinction. It literally has a beak instead of teeth. It's an herbivore that prefers to move in herds. Overall, a fantastic addition to the park.
So the Pentaceratops here, it has 5 horns. 1 on the nose, 2 on the brows, and 2 extending out from its jugular bones. It seems excessive, but maybe it's necessary. Now this dinosaur, the Dracorex, is something strange. Its name means the Dragon King of a fictional school for wizards. I think I could have come up with that myself. The name, not the dinosaur. For that, we need the scientists.
The gigant Spinosaurus you have here doesn't quite live up to its name. Don't get me wrong, it's big, but manageable. Just watch out for those shoulder blades. They'd ruin anyone's day.
Okay, what we have here is a Nodosaurus. This dinosaur tends to be shy and likes to keep to itself. And it has a thick skin. Sort of the opposite of Owen.
Now, here's a funny little dinosaur. Correction, a pretty decent-sized one, if the truth be told. It's called a Centausaurus. The T is silent, like the P in swimming. Yeah, and it has a mohawk. At least, that's what I'd call it.
First discovered in China, the Chungkingosaurus has distinctive twin plates that run along its back, and it can swing its spiked tail, called a thagomizer, like a massive medieval mace. This is a dinosaur best observed at a distance.
This flat-headed dinosaur, the Homalocephale, can appear unassuming, and perhaps even cute to some. But let's also stay on top of the science. We can learn a lot from a little.
Heading to collect the asset.
This is the Stygimoloch, and it is one hard-headed dinosaur. It has an armored dome crowned by horns. Despite this, it's a social and relatively docile animal, unless threatened. Then steer well clear of it. This dinosaur can do a number on its enclosures and bash its way through any number of obstacles. Take that into consideration when you're planning its environment. Okay, this dinosaur is something special. Seriously, look at the size of this thing. It's called the Mamenchisaurus. This thing is one of the largest animals to ever walk the earth. And now, thanks to the wonders of genetic engineering, it's doing just that again.
Asset being transported.
This animal, though an herbivore, can intimidate most predators with its size. It's a biggie named Dreadnoughtus. I'd give this dinosaur a wide berth.
This duck-billed dinosaur is an Eloratitan. It was one of the last non-avian dinosaurs to go extinct, until we resurrected it, that is. Now it lives to be studied and put on display. The Eloratitan is a herbivore, As it grinds away its teeth while eating, it has hundreds more that continually take their place. There's a lesson in there somewhere.
Transportation underway.
This dinosaur is large, bulky, and has a stubborn disposition. It's called the iguanodon. It's an herbivore with attitude. I'd suggest giving it a wide berth.
This massive specimen is called the Apatosaurus, an impressive animal that can intimidate even the most determined of predators. The Apatosaurus's evolutionary advantages are its size and its demeanor.
Asset in transit.
This is the Polacanthus, and it's covered in armor plates and spikes. Mess with this animal at your own risk.
Asset has been collected.
This dinosaur, the Corythosaurus, is a duck-billed animal that looks like it's wearing a helmet. I mean, check that thing out. I wouldn't want to butt heads with it.
We know this animal's primary habitat was the ancient primordial forest that once covered this planet. It's called Dryosaurus. Before our research, there was no information on adult specimens of this dinosaur. We only had the fossilized record of juveniles. But now, that's all changed.
This one's more my speed. The Ouranosaurus is named after the Arabic word for courage, which is kinda my thing. This dinosaur is easy to care for and really only wants a comfortable place to eat and rest, and to be left alone. Sound like anyone you know?
In the early 19th century, Iguanodon solidified its place within the records of prehistory, becoming just the second species of dinosaur to have ever been discovered and named.
If it is possible for a dinosaur to be both elegant and awkward at the same time, then the Muttaburrasaurus takes the prize. This is a large herbivore that should make for an excellent addition to our collection.
This dinosaur, the Styracosaurus, has huge horns and a large spike similar to a rhinoceros. It also has the personality to match. It's an herbivore and uses those horns and a beak to break into even the toughest of plants.
There was a lot of controversy about dinosaurs being the ancestors of modern-day birds before this one was introduced into the park. It's an Archaeornithomimus. I think it puts some of those arguments to rest. Interested in a dinosaur with an extremely long tail? Then this dinosaur is for you. It's called the Sauropelta. Covered in bony armor, it has long spines projecting from its neck. All that being said, it is a relatively calm animal when placed in the right environment.
This is the Pachycephalosaurus, or thick-headed lizard in Greek, which is where it gets its name. Claire has accused me of being this dinosaur more than a few times. It's also an herbivore, so obviously she couldn't be more wrong. About me, I mean.
Ah, the Crichtonsaurus. Named after the author, Michael Crichton. Famous for his stories about infectious viruses, sentient nanobots, and also a novel on ancient animals, which I quite enjoyed. This is a social dinosaur that does well in groups.
Asset requiring collection.
A concussion can lead to serious brain injury. Fortunately, this dinosaur should recover, given the proper care. And we will give it the proper care. Am I clear?
Do you see any resemblance between the Nasutoceratops and modern-day cattle? Look closely at the horns and their relation to the eyes. It's clear to me that as we bring these animals back to life, the connections between the past and the present sharpen, and along with it, our understanding. This is what my science is all about.
Transporting asset.
Here we have the Torosaurus, a dinosaur that has the largest skull of any known land animal. And people say I have a big head.
Commencing asset transit.
Interesting. An Edmontosaurus. This is an herbivore that can move on all 4 feet or go upright and walk on its hindquarters. We should be able to control and monitor this species more easily than some of the others. Use that to your advantage as you plan out the park.
Okay, what we have here is a Brachiosaurus. It has long limbs relative to the rest of its body. And what makes it really unique is that it's a warm-blooded dinosaur. I mean, how amazing is it that in bringing these dinosaurs back, we're also learning so much about them?
Right, the Sinoceratops, an herbivore that shares many traits with its more famous cousin, the Triceratops. This is a docile animal that you could make into a solid favorite with a little effort. Of course, we're all expecting more than a little effort, but I'm sure you get what I mean.
What can I say? The Indominus Rex remains my most inspired creation. Nature can create a dinosaur, but only I can bring an Indominus Rex to life. To do so required a tremendous amount of research, gene mixing, splicing and manipulation, and, of course, determination. The end result is a hybrid dinosaur that is both beautiful and deadly. An alpha predator among alpha predators. So treat it with the care and respect it deserves. The Indoraptor. This is a dinosaur created with a purpose. It can even see in the dark and uses echolocation to find its prey. Now, nature might eventually have created the Indoraptor, but I got there first. Is it dangerous? Yes. But then so is science. Death is inevitable for all creatures, but we lose more with a dinosaur, in science and in our investment. The loss is incalculable.
To some, this may seem inhumane. But when we let the dinosaurs fight, or when we manipulate them to, we gain a greater understanding of the animals. This research may eventually help us to better manage them.
Up asset. Asset collection request received. En route to collect the asset. Collecting asset. Confirming task. Task received. Confirmed. Adding to the list. Request acknowledged. Adding task. Setting additional task. Transportation in progress. Asset transportation underway. Asset transportation underway. Transportation underway. Asset has been directed. Asset transportation in progress. Asset being transported.
nasal horn and distinctive frill spike. Ceratopsid. However, unlike the Triceratops, adult Styracosaurs do lack large horns on their...
Asset to be collected. En route to pick up the asset. Heading to pick up the asset. Acknowledging asset collection request. Acknowledged. No problem. Assets in the air. Transporting asset. Understood. Asset in transit. Transit has commenced. Transportation underway. Asset transportation in progress.
These dinosaurs once lived in communal herds, making it important that we try to replicate such social groupings. Indominus Rex and
Collecting asset. Assets in the air.
Señoras y señores, tomen la decisión correcta.
Closely related to
Perfetto per un safari.
$65 million years in the making.